What's up YouTube, Brock Ashby here. In this video I'm going to take you through 3 mistakes that you're making with the dumbbell lateral raise. The first mistake that people make, which a lot of people make, is coming completely out the side like a T. I don't want to come out the side like this. I don't want to make a T. That's not the goal of the lateral raise. We want to get in the scapular plane, which ultimately means we need to chuck our arms 20 to 30 degrees in front of our body, so we're coming out slightly in front. That's going to line up with the medial deltoid, which is the target muscle for the lateral raise. So we're not going out the side, we're going slightly out the front. The second tip is not to drop your shoulder blades down and back. We don't want to lock in our shoulders. We want to keep our scapula nice and free moving.
Nice!
So we don't need to do this and jam up the shoulder joint. What we want to do is just kind of keep our shoulder blades neutral. So just leave them where they are. We don't have to drop them down. We don't have to push our chest out and shoulder blades back. Just keep nice and relaxed and just come straight out the front in that scapular plane, 20 to 30 degrees in front. The third mistake that people make is just swinging too much. A lot of people use momentum when it gets heavy. Now, a bit of momentum's fine. So if we're just kind of coming through like this, and as it gets hard, if I stand side on, as it gets hard, if I'm kind of doing a little bit of momentum just to get that weight up, that's fine, but we're not hip thrusting the weight up. That's one thing we're not going to do. Because that's not getting the shoulder at the start, right? So we're not getting that takeoff out of the rep. That's just kind of hip thrusting, and then your shoulders are catching the tension at the top and lowering it down. So all you're really getting is the eccentric part of the rep, or the lowering part of the rep, which is fine because that's part of the rep that does help with building muscle. But if we can get the concentric as well, then that's going to make every rep pay off, which is what we want when we're training. Lastly, a few tips with the lateral raise. We don't want to rest the dumbbell on our legs in between reps. So what we want to do is just keep the weight just off our legs here. So when we're doing our raises, we come up and then we come down and we keep that tension on the medial deltoid there, and then we come back up and down and come back up. Because if we come here and we rest and then do another rep and then we rest here, the tension's coming off the muscle. But if we keep it off, then there's constant tension throughout the entire set, which is going to generate more fatigue, which is going to help with building muscle. The last tip that I have for the lateral raise is if you find yourself swinging too much, what you can do is get a bench and set up a supported lateral raise. That's going to stop you from swinging because you want to keep your chest on the bench the entire time. So as you lateral raise, you just keep your chest pinned onto the bench like that. So if you were standing and you swing, you might kind of swing like this and come back and forward. But if you're leaning into the bench, you can just kind of stay there and fight for the rep using the deltoid, which is what you want. So this is often a method that I program first for people and then advance them onto just standing lateral raise. But this is a great option if you find yourself swinging, if you're dealing with heavier weights, to keep your form honest. So if you find yourself swinging and find yourself cheating to get those last reps and you're using too much momentum, what you can do is the supported lateral raise. Keep your chest on it the entire time and raise up the front in that scapular plane. Don't drop your shoulder blades back and down, and see what that does for your lateral raise, and ultimately see what that does for your shoulder development. Because as soon as I started doing these, I felt like I started to get a more well-rounded shoulder because I was actually making the most of every rep, as opposed to just doing a lateral raise where I initially thought, oh, you just come straight out the side. You come slightly in front of the body, and that made a huge difference for me. Out of the 3 tips in this video, the best one for me was making sure I was working in the scapular plane 20 to 30 degrees in front of the body.